Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So fortunately this video was deleted somehow, but I'm going to re-record it now. So now I want to speak about how we will go about learning Arabic vocabulary. So thus far we've spoken about introduction to learning Arabic through the Qur'an, and the idea of the tree of existence, the idea that the Arabic language is a diagram of being itself. That to learn the Arabic language is to learn reality. It is the Logos, the word of God, by which things were created. Let's bring up the whiteboard. What this means in short is that, I mean, the grammar, the structures of the Arabic language are perfectly mathematical, logical, scientific, symmetrical. So to learn the Arabic language, we need to be systematic. Like the tree, we need to begin with the principles, the roots, and proceed thereon. Now, this might seem like a monolithic task for the self-learner, which it most likely is if he or she has not some prior exposure to language, to ancient language. Actually, mathematics is very helpful. To be mathematically minded is very helpful for the Arabic language. However, that's what a teacher is there for. The teacher is one who has dived the ocean, and so who can guide the next student to dive down as well. So actually, before I do this, let me show, there's this book over here. 80% of the vocabulary of the Quran. And what this essentially is giving you is the most, or really the core vocabulary of the Arabic language, the center point of the Arabic words. All I'm going to do now is hopefully put this into practice, explain how we can learn these words, what exactly they are doing. So I won't go into it too much now, but hopefully you've seen the previous videos. What we've done together then is to learn the pronouns, the most important words in the language. We've learned verb conjugations, how to join these pronouns to verbs. So, huwa fa'ala, there's hiya fa'alat, hum fa'alu, and so on and so forth. Then we've learned some object pronouns as well, like fa'alahu, he did it. Like ra'aytu, ana ra'aytu, I saw. Ra'aytuka, I saw you. Ra'aytuha, I saw her, and so on and so forth. So that's the pronouns. We also learnt noun declensions. You have rajulun, a man, ar-rajulu, the man. Then you can have put two nouns together like rajulu baitin or rajulul bait, the man of the house, al-bait. We learned that if it's the subject, it's rajulun. If it's an object, it's rajulan. If it's the object of a preposition, it's rajulin. And if you want to say of the noun, it's in as well. Like the book of God, kitab, kitabu Allahi. Of God, of Allah, Allahi. That's like a very quick recap of where we are so far. To now start to put all this into practice, what we need are words. We need to actually learn words, understand the words, so that we can begin to read the Quran and understand what's going on. So you might notice some of these verbs or words, sorry. هذا ذلك ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه. At the moment, this is just kind of a bundle of words. What I want to do now is explain how words work. And using this understanding, we can begin to learn these words. Because even now, this is 80% of the Quran, it's already extremely condensed. Like we're saying, there's 13 pages, less than that, 10 pages of Arabic. 10 pages you have to memorize, and you can begin to understand a good part of the Quran. It's not much. I'm going to make that even easier now. I think we can take these 10 pages and bring it down to like 3, 4. Let's get to doing that then. So first and foremost, how do words work? I'm not sure if I said this before, but there's two parts of the language, what we call sarf, or actually three parts. Usually you say sarf and nahu. Sarf is what we would call in English morphology, right? The shapes of words, how words change, inflect to reflect meaning. And nahu is syntax, how we put words together into sentential structures, how to form sentences now using these words. So the first thing to learn when learning Arabic is sarf, morphology. As for the syntax and the grammar, that will come. When we are reading the Qur'an together, you're going to learn grammar in the process. The time for learning grammar is not at the beginning, apart from the very basics you need just to begin reading. So I said sarf and nahu, and I'll add a third, the science of words or meanings, lexicology. I believe I've spoken about this in a previous video. If I haven't, I'll make another one. In short, Arabic is very simple. It's three types of words. We have nouns, verbs, and particles. Essentially two things we do. A word either has a meaning, like the word is being used for a meaning, or is being used for structure. For example, man, rajulun, has a meaning. We know what a man is or the man is. The word has a meaning. But what about the word not? Does the word not, in and of itself, have some image which it brings to mind? Not really. I mean, you might say it has the meaning of negation, but what is negation? It's a relationship. So I might add over here structures and relations. Some words are used to structure other words, like I gave the book to him. The word to isn't bringing up some meaning. If I just said to, you don't really know what I'm talking about. If I say him, there's a meaning. It's not a complete sentence, no, but it has a meaning. Him. To has no meaning in and of itself. But to him, now that has a meaning. These words are called particles. In Arabic, I'll give you the Arabic words. We call this an ism, a fi'l, and a harf. Right? Ismun, fi'lun, harfun. Ism literally just means name. Names of things. Fi'l, we've seen this before. Fa'ala means to do. Fi'l is the verbal noun. It means doing. You have names, you have actions, and you have particles. Harf literally means the edge of something, because these particles are like the edge words. They frame other words. Hence they are structures. Like a bowl, you have a bowl which contains the actual substance, the meat of the sentence, the nouns and the verbs. Now we might again break these up, right? So either it has a meaning or it has a structure. So you have these two classes. Now, what's the difference between a noun and a verb? Very simply, a verb has time. Very simply, he did. In Arabic, the verb, fa'ala, it has time, a tense. You have the past tense and the present tense, fa'ala, yaf'alu. Not just that, you have a person inside of it, right? Huwa fa'ala. There's always a person doing the verb. And I mean that's it basically. You have a person and you have tense. That distinguishes the verb from the noun. So the Arabic grammarians usually define a verb as it's a meaning which has time inside of it. It's time specified, past or present or future. A noun has no time specification. Can be in time. A man, a rajul, can be in some time, on some day, in some place. But in and of itself, if I merely say a rajul, there's no meaning of time per se. As for the verbs, you've seen a bit of this. I mean, obviously there's past tense and present tense. Let me just make this simple. There are basically two types of verbs. There are the basic verbs, your root verbs. That's where you take your root. For example, fa, ain, lam. And you just have the form fa'ala. And then you conjugate this fa'ala, fa'alat, fa'altu, fa'alna, basic verbs. Most verbs, however, take this frame, fa'ala, and they build on top of it. Let's call these derived verbs. Again, like a tree, you have the root or the trunk, and you have branches coming out of this trunk. There are other verb forms. At some point, we're going to learn all these verb forms, not now. So let's just say the simple and the complex, the principal and the derived. One example of this is, let's say istafala. Istafala. For example, غفر. غفر means to forgive. استغفر, right? We do istighfar, means to seek forgiveness. And in fact, the meaning of these derived verb forms is predictable. If you know what this wazn, the mabna, right, the structure of this template means, and you know what the meaning of the root is, you can basically you can intuit the meaning of this verb form. At some point, we'll do all of that. That's verbs, and I'll leave out, past and present. Nouns, so we've seen pronouns, which are the most important words in the language. I'll just put down nouns over here, and adjectives. The word for an adjective in Arabic is sifa. A sifa. So why is noun here and noun here? Well, it's because the word ism is kind of an all-comprehensive term. I mean, an adjective is a type of a noun, but it's a noun which describes other nouns. But let's not get too complicated here. Like very simply, nouns are pronouns or like normal nouns or adjectives. That will do the job for the time being. As for particles, what do we have? We have interrogative particles, or to use a less fancy word, questions. For example, kaifa. Kaifa means how. Kaifa. How? Kaifa fa'ala. How did he do? We have connectives, like wa, and. We have negation particles, like la. La just means not. You have illa, except. Right, la, not, ilaha, no divinity, ilah, illa, except Allah, the God. And last but not least, we have, I want to say, prepositions. These are words which form relations, spatial relationships, or temporal relationships. For example, la, the li, alhamdu li, to, for Allah. You have fi, fi means in. You have ala means upon, and so on and so forth. So now if you learn this is very important. You know the different types of words there are in the Arabic language. I might add over here, we've seen this before, but how the tree of the Arabic language works. If you remember, you have, I put fa'ala, past tense, yaf'alu, past, present, and fi'l, verbal noun. We can conjugate these with the pronouns, right? Like this is huwa fa'al, huwa fa'ala. So here, fa'alat, taf'alu, and so on and so forth. I won't go into that now. So we've done this, and we've seen that you can derive from the root of fa'ala, there's some other forms. In particular, there is fa'il and maf'ul. The fa'il is the doer. If fa'ala means to do, fa'al, the fa'il literally means a doer of this fi'l. You have maf'ul, which means they're done. Doer, done. For example, alim, from alima. Alima means to know. Alim means someone who knows. Ma'lum, alima to know. Ma'lum, that which is known. Something which is known. Knows, a knower, known. Doer, done. And there's more forms, but that will suffice us for now. I would say that you should learn all of these things, these types of words, and this. Because this is like the framework which we use to understand the language. Okay, now let's take another look at this dictionary. It is here. Okay, pronouns. So we know all of these. You have your subject pronouns and your object pronouns. You can look at the video to remind yourself of that. Here we have our negations. Let me make this even more simple. Really, the only one you need is la. La is the most common one. Illa, we all know this from the kalima. La ilaha illallah. La illa. Lan and lam are basically forms of la. I mean, you have the lam there, so hopefully you'll remember that. It just means not. They have their own meanings, but again, we'll see the specifics as we actually begin to read Arabic and go through the Qur'an. I mean, there's no use just throwing information at you over here. The main thing is to recognize and remember the basic ideas, and practice will embed them and reveal their mysteries. So la, illa, and even illa is basically derived from la. Another very important one is ma. Ma means what and also not. And usually the context will help us distinguish which one is which. And that will essentially suffice for now. The others will come as we need them. Should have put over here actually, I'll go back to the slide, but there are more types of pronouns, or nouns rather. You have your pronouns. You have your demonstrative nouns, like this and that. So we need to learn these. These are very important. Then you have your relative pronouns, like the pen which is in my hand. Again, they change for two things for gender. For example, هذا for هو هذا هو هذا and ذلك, like this and that. Feminine هذه هي تلك هي, this, that. And plural. I'll make a table on the slide in just a bit. Then we have the interrogative pronouns, as I said, the questions. Again, really important. We see these a lot. Ma, what? Man, who? Mata, when? Again, I'll leave this here. Yeah, we'll see all of these just again and again and again. So most likely, if you don't learn them now, you'll learn them just through sheer exposure. Though it is easier to learn them in advance. And these, I'd say, really are adverbs, I mean prepositions, but more technically adverbs. And again, I'll go through this in a bit. Here we have our connectives, right? Thumma, fa. All of these, in a sense, can act as connectives. We have our prepositions. Now, these are really important because prepositions come everywhere. The most important ones are, I mean, these are compounds you just need. Well, prepositions plus ma. Just focus on this. Learn these ones over here. Bi, an, fi, ka, li, min, ila, hatta, ala, ma'a. The oath ones, wa and ta, are a bit slightly rarer. They're not that common. So focus on the rest. As for prefixes, again, best way to learn them is through exposure. I say for these, don't go out of your way just yet to learn these. Allow us to see some more Arabic first. And now we go into just nouns. But again, the best way to learn nouns and words in general is from the root meaning. So the way I would teach is, rather than just learning khabir, you have a verb, khabara, or it's really khabura, khabura, بالشيء. So you have the verb, khabura, or khabira. Then you have the noun on the pattern fa'il, khabara, fa'il, fa'ala, khabara, khabir. So khabir is derived from the root. So generally with all of these things, you learn the root meaning, and from the root meaning, you learn the derived words. And what's the best way to learn the root meanings? So I think one of the best ways to begin learning Arabic vocabulary is to learn the names of God. Because all of these are names of God. And within the names of God, we see some of the most important words, really they are the most important words in the entirety of the language. Basic verbs like to see and to hear, to do, to act, to give, to take. All these are names of God. And so by learning the names of God, not only is there, of course, a spiritual benefit, but also there's a profound benefit for learning the Arabic language. And then we just have the most important words which frequently occur. Basic things like, you see river, bahr, sun, moon, night, day. They come so often, you'll learn them just by force of habit. And there's a frequency percentage next to each one. See, they're so common. Like over here, if you learnt everything up to now, 50% of the words which occur, half of the words which occur in the Qur'an are basically already done up to now. That's not much. So it's very, very easy to begin. Hard to master. I'm not saying you will master, understand the depths of the Arabic language. No, that takes years, maybe decades. But beginning to understand, being able to read and understand almost every word, that's absolutely doable. So we have all the most important words. They're organized fairly nicely. If that helps, you can memorize them like that. Of course, if you try to memorize all these pages in one day, you might get a bit overwhelmed. But in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm sure you can learn all these words. It's absolutely doable. Now we have the verbs. Really, the best thing to do is to learn the verbs because most words are derived from these roots anyway. And over here, you're going to see the different verb forms. As I said, you have your basic verb forms like fa'ala, and then you have like you derived forms such as fa'ala and fa'ala and af'ala. So all these derived forms, to tell the truth, come out from these basic forms. You don't need to necessarily learn this and then learn like these derived forms. For example, you have, ahya. Af'ala is to give the meaning. Ahya is to give life. But if you know the basic meaning, hayat is life, and you know that af'ala is to give the meaning of the fi'l, you know that ahya means to give life. So you don't need to necessarily even learn these. See, I'm making your job even easier. You don't need to necessarily learn all these derived forms. Rather, you should focus on understanding the meanings of the derivations. And then you can rederive the meanings yourself. And that takes us all the way down here. Once we're basically done, because these are just the verb conjugations, which we've been through. هو فعل هما, or أنت فعلت هم فعلوا, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now let me just go back to our document. Let me add in the few things that I missed out. If in the pronouns, we have also, I said, demonstrative and relative nouns. So now, let's just very quickly go through all of this. And I think we can do this in not long at all. First and foremost, let's revise all of our pronouns and all of our verb conjugations. So, and how did I do this? I think we had a new method where we're like this. هو فعل. Then it was أنت, I believe. أنت فعلت. And أنا فعلت. هو and here. Oh, I think we want plural here, right? هو هم. Here هن. أنت أنتم. Then أنتِ for feminine and أنتن. I'll leave out the vowels for now because you've seen this so many times. So it'll be good for you to, if you write this out, to put the vowels in. But in general in Arabic, we don't need vowels because we know the patterns. So we don't need to write them. So هو فعل هم فعلوا. هي فعلت هن فعلنا. أنت is easy. أنت فعلت. أنتم فعلتم. أنت فعلتِ. He just follows it now. أنتن فعلتن. طيب أنا plural نحن. نحن فعلنا. Oops, فعلنا. Just make sure to distinguish between فعلنا with the alif after the noon, long noon, فعلنا, and هن فعلنا. فعلنا, not na. And that's the past. In fact, I should have left space for the present as well. Let's see if I can squeeze it in. Might get a bit messy. Let's hope it doesn't. So it's fa'ala, and let's see if I can just do it here. يفعل and يفعلون. هي فعلت, هي تفعل, and not يفعلون, not تفعلون, يفعلن. It's probably the only hard one. يفعلن. Otherwise, it works as you think. أنت تفعل. أنتم تفعلون. يفعل يفعلون. تفعل تفعلون. Oops. First, أنت تفعلين. تيين. And أنتن, you just follow this. يفعلن تفعلن. And أنا فعلت. أنا أفعل. نحن نفعل. That's that. Then let's put in our object pronouns. For هو, it's who. For whom, you just add whom. Here, you add her. Hunna, you add hunna. So most of them are just the same, actually. It's just who, whom, her, hunna. As for anta, you just have to change it to a ka. Other than that, you follow it exactly. Ka, kum, ki, kunna. And for ana, the plural, the ending is e or ni. And for nahnu, the ending is na. So that's all the pronouns and all the verbs. Sorry, it's a bit messy here, but we've done it so many times. This is like, these are, if you learn these, the doorway to Arabic is open for you. This is the first and foremost thing which I would stress to learn, so that we no longer need to say like he or she and you. You should learn the pronouns to the level that we could just speak in Arabic with the pronouns. I can just say, huwa fa'ala, and you know exactly what I mean. Huwa, anta. As soon as you get to the stage where you no longer need to translate these pronouns, but you can understand them in Arabic itself. As soon as you get to that stage, and you could theoretically get to that stage within a day, within a week, undoubtedly. After you've done that, you can begin to understand Arabic through Arabic. And that's the only way, really, to learn Arabic. So those are all our pronouns. As for demonstrative pronouns, well, we said, you have this and you have that. We're going to have the masculine and feminine, and singular and plural for each as well. So this, هذا, that, ذلك. Plural, هؤلاء, هؤلاء. ذلك, أولئك. أولئك. Feminine, هذه and تلك. So compare هذا, هذه, ذلك, تلك, هؤلاء, أولئك, and thankfully it's the same thing. It's هؤلاء, أولئك. Really, there's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to learn. That's the demonstratives. Again, really, really common. This and that, I mean, it comes almost everywhere. You also have a dual person, but we won't go into that now. It's a demonstrative and relative. What does relative mean? It's like the thing which is in my hand, or that, the man who lives in the house, those people who go to the market. I saw the cow that ran into the field. These are our relative pronouns. Absolutely the same thing, except there's no this and that, it's just relatives. So we have, how should we do this? Let's put masculine here, feminine, singular, and plural. So, الذي, التي. Remember ذلك, تلك, ذات, الذي, التي. Plural. الذين. There's a few plurals for feminine actually, but let's just stick to اللاتي, التي, اللاتي. This is the most rare, the feminine one. So don't worry too much about this. But الذي, التي, الذين, we'll see this again all the time. So those are pronouns, demonstratives, relative. That's basically all the nouns we need for now. And we're going to learn the rest just through learning the words and roots. Verbs we've explained. So let's just go through these main particles. So 4 things: interrogative, connectives, negations, and prepositions. Let's start with our interrogative, the questions basically. Again, these are really important to begin thinking in Arabic. I'd say this alongside with our pronouns are equally important. In English, you have the W's, the what, who, where, when, why, how. What is ma? Who is man? Where is mata? Sorry, that's when. When is mata? Where is aina? Why is lima? So actually, this is just a compound of ma. Li is the preposition, which means to or for. For what? That's what why is literally. How is kaifa? I'll put over here. How much? Right, quality and quantity. How much is kam? This doesn't come as much in the Qur'an. And that's the main thing we need to know at the moment. Again, not much at all. Next, let's go through the connectives. There's 3 basic ones. Well, fa, thumma. Wa, fa, thumma. Wa, and. Fa, so/then. It's like a good connective to either link things up in a sequence Also give the causes of things as well. Thumma means then, but it's like a real gap in time. Thumma, like there was a period of time and then it happened. Or maybe just a good way to put this is to say and then. And then. Whereas fa is simply then. That's all the connectors we need at the moment. I might put maybe just these ones. You have is, and either. These just mean when. Id is for the past tense, either is for the future tense. Again, that will do all the connectors for now. Hopefully you see that there's really not much on each page. Like this is absolutely doable to memorize and to learn. Only thing left now is, well, two things, negation and prepositions. I could have put negation in this page. In fact, I will. I'll just do it here. You have la, the most important one, illa, except, and you see ma a bit as well. So just learn these for now. That's all. The most important thing now is going to be learning our prepositions. Let's start with some easy ones. You have li and ila. Li means two or four. Ila means two. Difference is ila is really for space, it's for an actual direction. The li is more abstract. Remember, we say Alhamdu li lillahi. The praise is to or for God. Ila. You'd say this like Ataitu ila. I came to the place, the city. Ataitu ila al-Madina. So group these up. Then we have fi means in. You have ala, which means upon. Now the really important one is bi. I'll put it here actually. Bi means with. Bi, bismillahi. Bi, ismillahi. And if you want to learn these prepositions, the best way to learn them is actually not alone, but in sentences. Like now that you know, Alhamdulillahi, you'll know the meaning of li. If you ever forget, go back to Alhamdulillahi, li, lillahi. You know the meaning. 2, 4. Bismillahi, bi ismillahi, with the name of God, or in the name of God. Fi, in, ala, upon. We'll see this in sentences, which will allow you to memorize it and remember it much easier. And let me remind myself, what else do we have here? We have a few more like hatta, that we can maybe leave that out for now. We have an and ma'a. Let me give you those then. In, you go into a place and you come out from a place. I'll put these here. Min, from. Kharaja min, came out from. Dakhala fi, went into. Upon, I'll put an over here. An also means from, but it means away from. It's not just coming out from, but also going away from it. Away from. And I'll also just give you ma'a, very important. Ma'a means with. I'll just give you this one as well, hatta. Hatta means until. Though again, less common out of these. And I think we can suffice with that for now. That will suffice us. Again, not many. So I'd say if you understand what's going on with the words, you take a look at these things, you've learned your prepositions, and you start to have a look through this book, or it doesn't need to be this necessarily, it can be any book, any small Quranic dictionary. Now you can start to learn the words. And then in the future videos, we'll start to put all this together. And going back to, inshallah, understanding some words and verses of the Qur'an. So I'll leave this here then. Wa alaikum assalam.